Good morning, classmates. Good morning, panelists. And of course, good morning, Sir Alcaide. We are the third year PE students, and I am Magdangan Kana Katrina. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce to you the other researchers in this study. My groupmates are Geronimo Mark Joseph, Gravides Kimberly, Logan Roldan, Obong Crystal Jean, Pascual Nelsie, Querido John Mike, and Siochi Danica Ira. Today, we are going to present to you our research proposal in this course entitled Challenges and Adaptive Strategies of Students and Their Performance in Physical Education. Because of the immediately spreading of COVID-19 all over the world, the government decided to postpone the face-to-face classes for the meantime to ensure the safety of the students and the teachers.
For the background of our study, first is according to Briones, the Secretary of Department of Education, says that we declare our victory over COVID-19, the destroyer of our lives, the destroyer of our life and society, but we will not allow COVID-19 to destroy our children's education and their future. Amidst of increasing of number of cases and decreasing of opportunity to work and get a job, Secretary Briones still insisted and declared an online class through blended learning, and students are expected to adapt and be flexible from this new set of learning modality, most especially in dealing to physical subjects. Because of the pandemic, we are forced to adapt to the new normal learning system, wherein there are two modalities, which are online and modular distance learning, or also known as synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous online learning is currently gathering more attention than asynchronous because with advanced technology, increases students' feeling of connection to instructions and other students, which we firmly believe that through this way of teaching, students could still feel the way how the face-to-face classes is delivered in imparting knowledge and shared of students' thoughts and ideas about the lesson.
And the next one is modular distance learning. It's widely known as asynchronous, where teachers are distributing the modules to their student houses, and they were expected to answer the modules given to them within a week. It was believed that this type of learning, the students have more chance to study their lessons but cannot understand well because there's no guide of the teachers. However, according to Gao et al. 2013, asynchronous was considered by the researcher as best plan for the student success and performance. Lastly, is the goal of the study. The goal of the study is to determine the adaptive strategies. This study aims to determine how effective will be adaptive strategies of a student in performing their learning tasks in physical education, to which a lot of challenges will be seen in the new system of learning.
For the theoretical framework, first is constructivism theory. Constructivism theory is founded on the premise that people consciously construct or render their own knowledge and that your experience as a learner decides truth. According to Western Governors University, learners basically use their prior experience as the basis and then add new information to it. Gokharp and Woods 2003 said that constructivism theory, on the other hand, was not only a basis for study structure but also as an educational philosophy that promotes online teaching and learning as well as the general inclusion of technology in education. This theory says that learners are unique individuals who bring their own background knowledge and cultural influences to the classroom. Brunner and Piaget are considered as the chief theorists of constructivism theory. This theory supports researchers' investigation into how challenges and adaptive strategies affect students' performance, also in online class settings where students engage with the teacher and with one another, just like in a normal classroom settings, as per Azarito and Ennis said.
The next one is the transactional distance theory. E-learning is directly affected by the transactional distance, said by Moore of 1993. And according to Born of 2011, it describes and quantifies the learning relationship between the teacher and the students in an e-learning situation where the two are separated by a significant physical or temporal gap. It was first proposed in 1997, and it regarded the many different types of distance learning as part of a category that could be analyzed in the same way. This theory provides a graphical representation that shows how the three variables dialogue, structure, and learner autonomy influence the transactional distance. This theory is present in all educational relationships, as said by Moore. The amount of dialogue between the students and instructor, as well as the amount of structure within a course, is referred to as transactional distance. The more structured the course is, and the less dialogue between the students and the instructor is needed, the greater the transactional distance. The less structure in the course, the more dialogue between the student and the teacher is needed, and thus the transactional distance is reduced. This is helpful for the researcher's research because it relates to the teacher-students relationship as well as how students learn in virtual classes or by distance learning.
For the conceptual framework, in this graph, we will show the flow of the conceptual framework of the study, wherein it will distinguish the performance of grade 11 students in physical education, and as a researcher, enable for us to identify if the performance is on the right track or doing well. The researchers will determine first the two main variables involved in the study, which are the challenges and adaptive strategies. With this, we will be able to know if the challenges affect the performance of the students in physical education and on how the adaptive strategies will effectively help them to cope up in the new sets of challenges and learnings. And as we can see on the graph, the challenges and adaptive strategies are both connected and arrowed with each other, which means as a researcher, we wanted to know if these two variables has a correlation and if it has a relationship to effectively contributes in students' performance in physical education.
For our research design, in this study, the researcher will use online survey and interview through online to gather data because it is more convenient or suit in our situation right now. The researcher, which are mostly suffering now from the pandemic, and online survey is the most easiest way of gathering the data that we need to comply. By this process, we can assure the safety of our respondents as well as the researcher. In this study, we will also use descriptive analysis and thematic analysis as our statistical tests to highlight the potential challenges encountered and to identify, analyze, and emphasize the theme and interpret the pattern of the students in learning physical education in School Division Office of Valenzuela City and also to determine if the results are effective or not.
In research problem number 2, by online survey, researcher will send out some questions to the students of School Division Office of Valenzuela City as our respondents, and will respond to those questions related on how they can adapt in new normal environment in physical education. Descriptive analysis and thematic analysis will be used to describe and summarize the themes regarding the relation between the students and new normal environment. In research problem number 3, what are the adaptive strategies used by the students in order to address the challenges of learning in the new normal? The researchers will use questionnaire as data collection method since this research will use mix or meaning both qualitative and quantitative. Because questionnaire will gather students' personal opinions and their attitudes regarding the effectivity of their adaptive strategies while performing the tasks in physical education. We will also use correlational Pearson R analysis for statistical tests to discover and measure how strong the relationship between adaptive strategies with the learning task, and if possible, also to establish the connections with those two variables.
For the research method, the research design will be used is mixed method to gather data, whereby we collect and analyze both quantitative and qualitative data within the same study. For the first and second question, we will use descriptive and thematic analysis as statistical tests. The data aims to determine the extent to which different conditions can be obtained among these subjects. In the last question, Pearson or moment correlational as statistical test to know the relationship between the two variables and how it's connected to each other. Participants of this study are grade 11 students of School Division Office of Valenzuela City. Lastly, in this study, we will use sampling technique or stratified sampling technique. Randomly, we will select 45 male and 45 female from the total population of 105 students from 3 strands. We will specify 90 students only from Accountancy, Business, and Management with a total of 28 students, from General Academic Strand with a total of 56 students, and from Technical Vocational Livelihood with a total of 21 students.